guys, welcome back to day 2 of our daily article. Today we're going to be reading an article about camels called One Hump or Two. So I'll read the article out loud to you guys and then you'll reread it on your own and answer your questions. Okay, one hump or two. Do you know what the hump of a camel is used for? If you answered to store water, guess again. This rumor about camels storing water in their humps has been around for a long time, but it's actually not true. Wow, I always thought that camels stored water in their humps because they live in the desert where there's not a lot of water around. So people think that camels store water in their humps and that's how they're able to live in the desert. But this article is letting me know that that's not true. They don't store water in their humps. A camel's hump is a storage place for fatty tissue. So actually the only thing they're storing in their hump is fat. Most animals, including humans, store fat throughout their bodies beneath their skin. So most animals, like people, we would have fat everywhere. Our arms, our legs, our stomachs, our backs, everywhere. Whereas the camel, they only would have fat in their hump. So it's a different makeup of the body. But camels store their fat in one place, their hump. A hump can weigh as much as 80 pounds. That's a lot. Why do camels store their fat this way? The answer is most likely because of their environment. Camels can go up to 2 weeks without eating because they have this fatty tissue to live off of. Since camels live in the desert where food is scarce, they need this storage of fat to survive. So they're able to eat off of the fat they have stored. So if they don't get food for a few days or even up to 2 weeks, they can live off the fat they have stored in their hump. Camels have amazing survival skills built into their bodies. Their humps contribute to the camel staying cooler because all the body fat is concentrated to one area instead of being spread throughout the body. So because their fat is all in their hump, they don't get as hot because they're not covered in fat. Also, camels are great at handling changes in body temperature. They need to reach temperatures over 106 degrees before they begin to sweat. So it's very hard to make a camel sweat. It has to be very hot. The camel has to be at over 106 degrees temperature, body temperature, before it will begin to sweat. Humans would definitely be sweating way before it got to 106. We'd be burning up with that. And when they do sweat, it evaporates. That means it dries up very quickly while on the camel's skin instead of on its coat. This cools the camel much faster. So the skin dries up the sweat and it doesn't get the camel's coat, which is its fur, wet with sweat. So it dries up very quickly. It doesn't get the fur wet, the coat wet. Their coats also help them adapt to the heat. While the coat is thick, it reflects the sunlight and protects the camel from the heat that rises off the desert sand. So its coat is its fur, and its fur is very thick, and it reflects the sunlight so it doesn't soak in all the heat from the sunlight, and it protects the camel and keeps it from getting too hot in the desert sun. An adult camel measures just over 6 feet tall at the shoulders and over 7 feet tall at its hump or humps. So if you just count the camel without the humps, it's about 6 feet tall. If you count the camel with the hump, that adds another foot. It's about 7 feet tall. There are 2 kinds of camels, those with one hump and those with 2 humps. So there's 2 types. Some camels have 1 hump and some camels have 2 humps. Camels with 1 hump are called dromedary or Arabian camels. So they have 2 names. They are either called Arabian camels or dromedary camels. So either one is correct. For the one with 1 hump, you could say an Arabian camel or a dromedary camel. They live in the dry deserts in West Asia. So the one-hump camels live in West Asia in the deserts. Camels with 2 humps are called Bactrian camels. So Bactrian camels have 2 humps, and they live in Central and East Asia. So the ones with 1 hump live in West Asia, and the ones with 2 humps, they live in Central and East Asia. Besides their humps, camels have a lot of interesting features. They can live between 40 to 50 years, so they live a long time. They can carry about 400 pounds, that's a lot, and run up to 40 miles per hour. That's very fast. It's true that camels can go long periods of time without drinking water, and they can drink about 26 gallons of water at a time. That's a lot of water. If that's not interesting enough, camels have three sets of eyelids. We have 1 set, they have 3. 2 of these sets come complete with eyelashes. So they have 2 sets of eyelashes, while the 3rd set is skin. Camels can also close their nostrils, so they can close up their nostril holes. Like the aardvark, right? When they're digging for ants. So whether a camel has 1 hump or 2, it is one amazing creature that is very well adapted to its environment. All right, that was really interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff about camels. All right, so let's go over the main points quickly. So we know that the camel uses its hump not for storing water, but for storing fat, right? And the camel needs its hump for survival because it will feed off of the fat that it has stored in its hump. And also it's able to cool down quickly because its fat is all in its hump. What else? It hardly sweats, right? It has to be super hot for a camel before it'll start to sweat. It has a thick and protective coat. Its fur blocks the sun and keeps it cool. We know that a dromedary or Arabian camel has 1 hump, and a Bactrian camel has 2 humps. All right, so now you guys will reread the article on your own and answer your Google form questions. All right, good job.